This story is about Salvador Ramos, who was a murderer that killed 19 children and two teachers in Uvalde, Texas. If you like hearing stories about people who suck, then hit the like and subscribe button. Salvador Rolando Ramos was born on May 16, 2004, in Fargo, North Dakota. At an early age, he moved to Uvalde, Texas, where he ironically attended Robb Elementary School for the fourth grade in the same classroom where he was eventually killed. He was often bullied because he had a stutter and a lisp. Over time, the bullying got worse and worse until he became so angry that he started fighting the kids who bullied him. He would occasionally bring boxing gloves with him to fight at school. Because he was so angry and violent all the time, none of the kids wanted to be friends with him. Ramos would move on to attend Uvalde High School, where he would continue to have behavioral problems. He was absent so often that by the time he was 17, school officials withdrew him on October 28, 2021. His former high school classmate, Ivan Ariano, has stated in an interview that in high school, Ramos was not bullied. Ramos would try to pick on people but would fail, and that would aggravate him. He would hurt animals. He was not a good person, and he would often go to the park and pick fights. After getting kicked out of high school, he worked at Wendy's to pay the bills. Over time, his violent tendencies only got worse. He would openly abuse and kill animals and live stream the acts on social networking app Yubo. He would also live stream himself threatening to kidnap and violate girls. He also threatened to commit a school shooting. This was reported to Yubo, but nothing was done. At work, he would often keep to himself, but whenever he did interact with people, he was rude to his female coworkers and sent them inappropriate text messages. He would also try to intimidate his coworkers and often asked, "Do you know who I am?" His attitude was so bad that his coworkers gave him the nickname School Shooter. Ramos became obsessed with automatic rifles and posted pictures of guns on his Instagram. He asked his sister to buy him a gun when he was 17, but she refused. He would often drive around in the middle of the night and use a BB gun to shoot at strangers and also threw eggs at cars. Ramos was raised by a single mom named Adriana Martinez. Over time, their relationship became more and more tense. They were constantly arguing, and Ramos was very aggressive with his mother. One day, his mother turned off the Wi-Fi, and Ramos lost his temper, which resulted in a huge argument that became so bad that Ramos could no longer live with his mother, so he had to move in with his grandparents. On May 24, 2022, Ramos and his 66-year-old grandmother had a fight over the phone bill. He ended up shooting his grandmother in the face and stealing her truck. She miraculously survived and was airlifted to a hospital in San Antonio in critical condition. After he shot his grandmother in the face, he sent a private message to a random 15-year-old girl from Germany to tell her that he shot his grandma and that he was going on a shooting spree. Ramos drove his grandmother's car to Robb Elementary School and also shot at a couple of people at a nearby funeral home on his way to the school, both of whom survived. He drove through a barricade and into a concrete ditch outside Robb Elementary School. He got out of the car and climbed over the fence to enter the school. He was wearing a tactical vest, all black clothing, and carrying an AR-15 style rifle with several 30-round magazines. A resource officer who was not on campus heard the 911 call of a man with a gun and drove to the school towards a man who he thought had a gun. It turns out the guy the officer confronted was just a teacher. However, in the process, the officer ended up driving right by Ramos. Ramos entered the school from the west entrance, which was supposed to be locked, but for some reason was unlocked that day. He walked down the school hallway and entered one of the rooms and shot a teacher named Irma Garcia. He then opened fire on the students and another teacher named Eva Morales. He went into another classroom and shot another teacher named Arnolfo Reyes before opening fire on the children. Meanwhile, the police cordoned off the school but did not go into the classroom to engage Ramos. Parents gathered outside and begged the police officers to enter the building and save their children. The kids inside the school were calling out for help and calling their parents on their cell phones, pleading for someone to rescue them. But the police never entered the room to shoot Ramos and save the children. They were just waiting outside the classroom, in the hallway, and outside the school. They made excuses such as requesting more resources, equipment, body armor, and negotiations. The police even arrested and tased some of the parents who tried to run inside the school themselves to try and save their children. One of the parents, named Angeli Rose Gomez, broke free of police custody and ran into the school to rescue her two kids. She managed to find them and get them to safety, but the police handcuffed her for saving her children. While this was going on outside the school, inside the school, the shooter continued to kill people. Any children who screamed for help or called 911 on their cell phones would give away their position, which made it easier for Ramos to find and kill them. The cops stood outside the door of the classroom waiting around for someone to give the order to go in. Some of the police were frustrated on this lack of action and were saying that they needed to go in there. One of the cops was Ruben Ruiz, who was the husband of the teacher Eva Morales. She even contacted her husband using her cell phone as she lay dying inside her classroom. But no one entered the room to neutralize the threat, even though the police officers had been at the school for over an hour. Eventually, the police decided to enter the classroom and do their jobs. Ramos took cover in a closet and started shooting at them. The officers returned fire and killed him. 19 children with ages ranging from 9 to 11 and 2 teachers were killed by Ramos. After the shooting, police body cam footage showed the cowardice and incompetence of the Uvalde police, which caused public outrage. Memorials and tributes were created outside the school for the shooting victims. Local businesses offered free headstones and funeral services to the families of the victims. Joe Garcia, the husband of Irma Garcia, one of the teachers who was killed in the shooting, was so heartbroken over losing his wife that he had a heart attack and died 2 days after the shooting. A GoFundMe was set up to help the people affected by the shooting. Police Chief Pedro Pete Arredondo ended up resigning from his position in the Uvalde City Council, but is still employed as a cop who has been put on administrative leave. Ramos' mother called her son a coward and asked for forgiveness for her son's actions. She also got in a shouting match with the relatives of a shooting victim. She also said that people have no right to judge her son. Ramos' father, Salvador Ramos Sr., apologized for his son's actions and wishes that his son killed him instead. The teacher who was shot but survived, Arnolfo Arnie Reyes, has publicly denounced the police. He called them cowards and felt like the cops took too long to try and stop the shooter. On June 21st, a Senate committee was formed and determined that the police failed to prioritize saving the lives of the victims over their own safety. The committee included this comment in its report. The report also listed other mistakes that the cops made that was not due to a lack of manpower, but from a lack of leadership. Other politicians used this event as an opportunity to push their own agendas by proposing new gun laws. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like the video if you liked it, and also click on the subscribe button. It only takes 2 seconds to do, and it would really help me out. Leave a comment below if you think this guy sucks. I left the links to all the references I used in the description below.